Before I got sober, I was a pretty negative person. I didn't appreciate my life. I couldn't be grateful for anything. Fast forward to current day, where I live in a state of gratitude and positivity. Whoa, how in the world did that happen? How did I go from this angry, bitter, blaming victim, drinking and drugging for 30 years, all over my upbringing, to a place where I feel great peace, and I am free from resentment? It's a little bit of a story, and I'd like to share it with you. Come back in time with me to my upbringing. When I was growing up, I had a difficult background, a difficult childhood. There was a lot of verbal, emotional, and physical discipline that crossed a line. My first time away from this environment was when I went to college. Senior year, I got a Valentine from my fiance who was going to another school. Oh, what does it say? He married somebody else. Oh, I was devastated, unconsolable. Finally, my roommates were so desperate that they took me out to get me drunk. That changed the course of my life. It started 30 years of drinking and drugging, and 20 of those years I was married to another alcoholic. We had some great times, but it was a toxic and volatile relationship, and it just didn't feed my soul. The marriage crumbled when I left because I fell in love with another man who I thought was my soulmate. I felt that so strongly. He didn't reciprocate. Oh, again, I was devastated. I became a shattered hull of a being, only able to drink and cry for 2 months. I couldn't even feed myself. Finally, knowing I needed help, I prayed. Before long, it wasn't 6 weeks before I was a sober person. Wow. And 4 years into it, I discovered a way to forgive my parents. I'd like to share with you how that happened. I was doing a self-appraisal one day, looking at the ways in which my behavior had led to the demise of the relationships with the men in my life. And what I realized was I used to get drunk and yell and scream at them, "You're worthless! You'll never amount to anything!" Oh, I was horrified to remember this, especially because I didn't even mean it about them. I meant it about myself. I had an aha, and that aha was this. It stood to reason, and it was logical that all those years my father called me worthless and said I would never amount to anything. He meant it about himself, not about me. This was life-changing. Suddenly, I saw him as a wounded human being, a fellow human being, and I felt compassion for those wounds because I knew what they felt like. The next year, I held my mother and my father in compassion until after that year, forgiveness flowed in. I had opened my heart with compassion, and forgiveness flowed in. I can't tell you how peaceful and freeing that place of forgiveness was and is. I can tell you that if you're having trouble with a resentment, then I recommend and invite you to try 4 steps. The first step, examine your behavior in the situation and then own it. Step 2, consider that your offender is a wounded person because hurt people hurt others in the same ways they were hurt. 3, have compassion for that person's wounds. And 4, receive forgiveness when it flows into your heart. If you do those 4 things, then you will find yourself living in the art of forgiveness. Thank you.